Good morning, dear students. We are going to discuss the histology of complete gastrointestinal tract. So we will be starting with the tongue. So already we have discussed tongue when we were doing gross features of tongue, when we have discussed head and neck. So now when you do the histological aspect, so we will be able to see certain features of these important structures to be studied like the papillae. So we have, if you remember from the cross, like there is a V-shaped sulcus called as sulcus terminalis, in front of which we have circumvallate papillae. The most predominant papillae we find throughout are the filiform papillae. Apart from that, in between here and there, we find the fungiform papillae. Okay, so filiform, fungiform, and on the margins of the tongue, we also find foliate papillae. So at the end of the lecture, now when we see in our practical lab, you should be able to discuss the histology of the tongue with various types of papillae, filiform, fungiform, foliate and circumvallate. We should be able to differentiate and identify these papillae and histological features of these structures under the microscope or photomicrograph. Now, the tongue is a mass of skeletal muscle covered with mucous membrane. We know the functions are ingestion, mixing of food, speech, swallowing, and taste sensation. So, a small review of gross features. So grossly, the tongue is divided into anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 by this V-shaped sulcus called as sulcus terminalis. Now coming to the histological features, now the mucosa is lined with stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. If you just look into this picture, you are finding the tongue. So in the tongue, you are finding the skin like we have studied thick skin and thin skin, right? So we have seen like cells are arranged in multiple rows. So that is stratified epithelium. Okay. So here mucosa is lined with stratified epithelium and the surface cells are flat and also few cells are dead. Hence we name it as stratified squamous epithelium. So keratinization may be there or may not be there. We will see where it is keratinized and non-keratinized. So anterior 2/3, the mucosa is thrown into projections or elevations which are called as papillae, which are four types as we have been discussing: fungiform, filiform, foliate and circumvallate. The mucosa which covers the muscles. Now you are finding these are all muscle bundles which are underlying. This is one muscle bundle which is running in different planes. So this is skeletal muscle bundle. So which are arranged in different planes. So small, you can see these are all salivary glands also, like which are also seen embedded within the substance of the tongue below the mucous membrane. Okay. Now let us discuss papillae in detail. So we have first papilla, which are most predominant on the surface of the tongue, is filiform papilla. So they are numerous, and if you just look under the microscope, they look sharp, conical. Often they are keratinized. You have to remember filiform papillae, they are sharp like a cone-like structure, and it is covered with stratified squamous keratinized type of epithelium. Okay, then so actually this filiform papillae, they increase the surface area and create texture of the rough consistency of the tongue is actually produced by this filiform papillae. If you just observe in the histological picture of this filiform papillae, we usually do not have taste buds. Okay. After filiform papillae, the next papillae, what we see most probably towards the apex. Okay, so we have, so little like broadened thing is the fungiform papillae. In the lining epithelium here, it would be stratified squamous, non-keratinized type of epithelium. Okay, so fungiform papillae will have few taste buds which will be detecting the sweet and salt type of taste. Now, the most abundant, like in front of sulcus terminalis, I said we have circumvallate papillae. So these circumvallate papillae are quite big, which we can see with our eyes also, what you have seen in dissection wall. Okay, so these circumvallate papillae are 12 in number. They are actually large dome-like in groove of like sulcus terminalis. So you have specialized glands which are von Ebner's glands, which are serous glands. They are emptying into the groove. Okay, so that is responsible for taste perception. So if you just observe, see, this is one groove, this is complete circumvallate papilla, this is the next papilla. So if you just observe between papilla and papilla, whatever area is there, this area is furrow. So in this furrow, you will see on the either side, so many taste buds are seen. So we find taste buds are predominantly present in the circumvallate papillae. Okay, so they are rich in taste buds and they are sensitive to bitter taste. Okay, apart from the circumvallate papillae, on the margins of the tongue we also have foliate papillae. Of course, they are not usually commonly seen in human beings, but most commonly seen in animals like rabbits. Okay. You can see like they are onion shaped taste buds. So there is an opening towards the surface which is called taste pore. So all these taste buds, they are actually made up of tall columnar cells. In between these tall columnar cells, small cells, they are nothing but the supporting cells. Okay. So cranial nerves that carry taste sensation, we have like cauda tympani, which we have studied when we were doing gross, which is seventh cranial nerve for anterior two-third, glossopharyngeal nerve, which is ninth cranial nerve for posterior one-third. Okay, root of the tongue, which is now special sensory sensations are carried by 10th cranial, that is vagus.